if you will, the void of space above. Kepler 442b, a human colony world that had become nothing more than a chess piece in the galaxy's most brutal war. For 6 grueling months, the Gothic Confederation had carved through star systems like a scythe through wheat, their bioweapons leaving nothing but silent, sterile worlds in their wake. These weren't crude explosives or energy blasts. No, the Gothi were artists of annihilation, crafting living instruments of death with the precision of master sculptors. Their arsenal read like a catalogue of nightmares. Elegant spores that could unravel entire ecosystems thread by thread. Toxic compounds so potent they dissolved carbon-based life like acid through paper. And creatures so horrifying that entire civilizations had surrendered at the mere mention of their names. But at the apex of this biological horror show stood the death bloom, a flower so beautiful it seemed almost divine, its purple petals shimmering with an otherworldly luminescence that masked its true purpose. Instant death to any living thing that dared breathe its pollen. Admiral Lexar stood on the bridge of his flagship, his nostril slits flaring with the cold satisfaction of a predator about to deliver the killing blow. Through the viewscreen, the human colony sprawled across the valley below farms, settlements, children playing in gardens, all blissfully unaware that they were about to become another footnote in the Gothi's conquest. "Deploy the Death Bloom bombardment," he commanded, his voice carrying the weight of absolute certainty. "Let us end this swiftly." The sky above Kepler 442b erupted in a cascade of falling pods, thousands of them, each one a harbinger of extinction. They shattered against the earth like deadly seeds, releasing billowing clouds of lethal pollen that danced on the wind. Within hours, the entire agricultural heartland had transformed into a sea of violet death, beautiful, unstoppable, and absolutely final. The death blooms rooted themselves with supernatural speed, their purple faces turned toward the sun like some grotesque parody of a wildflower meadow. Lexar allowed himself a moment of grim satisfaction. Another world cleansed. Another species added to their long list of conquered civilizations. Soon, there would be nothing left but the ethereal beauty of his death blooms, swaying in the breeze over yet another silent world. But then came the report that would shatter everything he thought he knew about warfare, about death, and about the strange, impossible species called humanity. Status report. Lexar's voice cut through the bridge's tense silence like a blade. His tactical officer's response came wrapped in confusion so thick you could taste it. "Admiral, the humans, they're not dying." Down on the surface, Marine Sergeant Maria Rodriguez stood in the heart of what should have been a field of death. Her squad clustered around her like soldiers in a fairy tale garden. The death blooms towered around them, their purple petals catching the alien sunlight in ways that made them seem almost luminous. The pollen hung in the air like golden dust, tickling Rodriguez's nose and triggering nothing more dangerous than a hearty sneeze. "Command, this is Rodriguez," she radioed, her voice carrying that particular blend of military professionalism and bemused confusion that only humans seem to master. "Aliens dropped some purple flowers on us. They're really pretty. Request permission to investigate." The permission came through with the standard warnings about extreme caution, but Rodriguez was already moving through the death bloom field like a tourist in an exotic garden. She plucked one of the deadly flowers, bringing it to her nose with a casual fearlessness that would have made any other species in the galaxy faint with terror. The scent hit her spicy, complex, with notes that reminded her of her grandmother's saffron rice and summer evenings on Earth. "Hey, Chun," she called to Private Chun, the squad's designated foodie, who had somehow managed to smuggle a complete camping cook set into what was supposed to be a desperate last stand. "What do you make of this?" Chun took the flower, this instrument of galactic extinction, and breathed it in like he was sampling wine. His field scanner beeped cheerfully as it ran its analysis. displaying results that would have sent the Gothi medical corps into collective cardiac arrest. Not only was the death bloom safe for human consumption, it was packed with vitamins and minerals. What happened next would echo across the galaxy for generations to come. Chun fired up his portable stove right there in the field of alien death, sauteing the deadly petals in military-issue butter substitute. The first bite made his eyes light up like stars. "Sarge," he announced with the enthusiasm of a man who just discovered gold, "this is incredible. Like if Galapagos and lavender had a baby, and the baby was raised by master chefs." Within the hour, the entire colony had mobilized not for evacuation, not for emergency medical treatment, but for the largest impromptu harvest in human history. Someone discovered that the roots tasted like naturally seasoned potatoes. The dried stems, when ground to powder, brewed into a coffee substitute that sharpened the mind without the jitters. Children made crowns from the deadly flowers, while their parents planned agricultural expansion from orbit. Admiral Thexar watched his ultimate weapon, the terror that had ended civilizations, become humanity's newest cash crop. Transmission from the human colony didn't come as a cry for mercy or a desperate plea for survival. It arrived as something far more terrifying to the Gothi mind: a business proposal. The colonial governor appeared on their screens with the kind of cheerful defiance that only humans can muster in the face of extinction, announcing, "Hey there, alien friends. This death bloom stuff is absolutely fantastic. We want exclusive cultivation rights." The humans had already begun experimenting with fusion cuisine. Death bloom tacos were testing through the roof. Death bloom pizza was being marketed as cosmic comfort food. Someone had started a blog, Cooking with Extinction, that was gaining intergalactic followers faster than the Gothi could process the horror of it all. Desperation drove Thexar to unleash everything in their biological arsenal. The nerve rot fungus that had wiped out the entire Deltran civilization was fermented by humans into something they cheerfully called space cheese, which they served at dinner parties with wine pairings. The toxic screamers' carnivorous vines that had ended the mighty Zephoid empire were harvested and turned into naturally spicy spaghetti that had human food critics writing reviews about complex flavors with hints of danger. But the breaking point came when Nexar deployed their ultimate failsafe, the extinction catalyst, a bacterial agent so virulent it had never failed to eliminate a species within days. 3 weeks later, a new transmission arrived from a human entrepreneur named Bobby, broadcasting from Texas with the kind of enthusiastic capitalist spirit that had once conquered the American frontier. "Howdy, y'all. This bacteria is absolutely revolutionary. Mixed with our gut biome, it helps us digest complex proteins. We're solving galaxy-wide food shortages here. My company, Bob's Belly Buddies, is going public next month. Initial investment opportunities available for early adopters." The Gothi medical officer's analysis of human biological data revealed the terrible truth. Humans harbored 37 different bacterial strains that would kill a Gothi instantly. They consumed alcohol, literally poison, for recreation. They ate capsaicin for pleasure. Their immune systems didn't just survive the Gothi bioweapons. They adopted them as probiotics, integrating them into their digestive systems like old friends. Admiral Thexar slumped in his command chair, watching the view screen display the Death Bloom Food Festival taking place in the colony below. Human children wore crowns made from flowers of extinction, while their parents judged a beer brewing contest featuring nerve rot fungus. Vendors sold toxic screamer spaghetti from colorful food trucks, while a live band played on a stage decorated with what had once been instruments of galactic terror. "Send the surrender terms," Thexar said quietly, his voice carrying the weight of defeated acceptance. His tactical officer hesitated, confusion written across his alien features. "Sir, we haven't actually fought them yet." "We can't?" "Exactly," Thexar replied. And in that single word lay the wisdom of a commander who understood when he was outmatched. We can't fight them. Any species that looks at our worst weapons and asks, "Is this edible?" is too dangerous to engage. They don't just survive our attempts to destroy them. They'll franchise our doom and sell it back to us with a side of fries. The war ended not with the thunder of weapons or the silence of extinction, but with the soft sound of pages turning. 101 Alien Bioweapon Recipes by Chef Chun, with a foreword by Sergeant Rodriguez, became a bestseller across the galaxy. The Gothi Confederation agreed to peace terms with only one condition. Under no circumstances would humans ever be invited to a Gothi dinner party. And so, humanity's greatest weakness, their tendency to put absolutely anything in their mouths, became their ultimate strength. In a galaxy where civilizations fell to biological warfare, humans alone looked at death itself and asked if it came with a side of garlic bread. The death bloom fields of Kepler 442b still bloom today, tended by human farmers who sing while they work, their purple petals swaying in alien breezes, monuments to the day when humanity's appetite proved mightier than the sword.